Right.
But to begin, Ricardo, this is your time, your segment, so you
Sure.
could kick things off with Star Trek Prodigy,
Sure.
go into Invasion, and
Right.
then as you could kick off the movie section, I should say, with Blue Bayou. So Ricardo, take it away. Star
Right.
Trek Prodigy.
Yeah. So, Star Trek Prodigy is in the future post the events of Voyager. Right. So, main character called
I
Dal.
could just ask a question, right?
Sure.
As a newbie to the world of Star Trek, do
Right.
they inform you that this is set after Voyager? Or is it that you
Not
have to
really.
you
Well,
have to notice something or pick up on some
yeah, well,
law or something for you to
yeah, no,
understand?
it's kind of implied, like strongly implied that it should be. And well, you learn the show are simple. They reveal something at the end of the first episode that was in the trailers that will make you think it's after Voyager. So I thought it was a lot further in the future than Voyager, but from what I understand, it's only about 5 years after Voyager returned to Earth in the storyline. So that is, I don't know, the 2380s or so. Right. Again, if you're a Voyager fan, you'll be like, all right, okay. Yeah, it's about 5 years after the end of Voyager. So that is the timeline they're working with. Yeah, so the main character is called Dal. He is of a supposedly unknown species. They never say what it is, and they kind of make a deal of him, people not knowing what his species is, right? He's this like plucky main character type who snarky and won't shut the fuck up. And he's one of those types, right? Where he just always is a quip machine, good, hero protagonist type character. No? And basically he have to like stuck on this asteroid kind of prison mining colony kind of thing. Characters around I think 17 years old, like at least I see the 16 or around 16 years old. I always got the sense he felt like about a 15 to 16-year-old character, to you know as in the reference point for what our audience member, what are the protagonist tends to be for these audience members. And basically stuck on this asteroid, trying to get off and trying to make sense of the world. He don't want to escape. And basically through meeting another character who's the daughter of the fellow running the mining colony, who's this big mysterious bad guy, like a bunch of robots and like bots type, creatures running the place, and basically just, running the show and whipping people into place to make sure they do the job. And then you have a Tellarite who's like this, well, that's a race apparently. 'Cause it don't look like a Tellarite to me, but whatever. It's like a mechanic character, so that's supposed to be like the engineer. I think the character name is Jankam or something like that. It have a character called like an energy based life form that inside like a containment suit kind of thing inside, and they used to use it to control other people, like it is hypnotize people. And then it have like a rock creature, like, yeah, the characters growling and whatever it is. But when they got on the ship, it started speaking, shouting like a young child, like, like a 8-year old child. And it's them. There's all this ragtag group who found basically a ship, right? This something called the Protostar, and it's basically like this super advanced ship that could fly about, and they have to escape, and that's basically the storyline. So they had to interrogate the character, and they was digging in the asteroid to find the ship. So the ship lost for some reason and crashed. And the end of the first episode, it is when they muddle the way to escaping, and then the two main characters, which is Dal and Gwyn, they kind of will they won't they kind of romance kind of thing going on. They kind of kidnap her because she was helping out her father, kidnap, recapture all the others, because but they was already looking for the ship. They escape, right? Because she kind of want to escape too, because she don't really trust what the father have to say, and the father apparently is the only person who nobody Federation. And well, she as a character, she could translate a bunch of people. And then the Medusan character could read minds apparently, so they're using that to communicate and make sense of each other. And then they escape at the end of the first episode, and then the her father had a chase after him. The big conceit at the end of the first episode is that Janeway shows up somehow as a hologram. So a hologram version of Janeway comes in and basically talking to them to make sense of what is going on. And that's pretty much it. It's just a full. So I only watched the first episode. I didn't watch the second episode. It's fine. Like it kept my attention for the first, that first episode.
Right.
It's not that long. It's the only thing I kind of don't care about the storyline so far is really the main character Dal. He a little too obnoxious. He a little too quippy for my liking. But whatever, it's fine. That kind of stuff is work for some people. It personally it already worked for me. I find he just talk. he's talked too much shit. Like that's my problem. He's talked little too much about Dabas. He's just the captain character that trying to be the Starboy character, and they're making it a little too obvious. And they don't seem to be setting up anything like interesting in terms of like a moral arc or anything like that. The only thing they're trying to set up clearly is, well, what kind of species he is and why is he an unknown species, right? For some reason, he might be the last of his species. We don't know, right? He doesn't know his own species name. No one seems to know, and they're clearly setting that up for something for whatever payoff, hopefully. And that's pretty much it. It's okay. So how to describe this in terms of like from a construction production standpoint? It's clearly designed for much like our Discovery. I always felt was for to rope in a bunch of mainstream people who are not familiar with Star Trek, and then they
Like
will
me.
right. It's designed for the person who, hey, you don't know about Star Trek, but you probably watch them J.J. Abrams movies and you probably like those. So here's more of that, kind of. Even though, and it's not necessarily consistent, or at least to a whole section of the fan base who kind of toxic. They're not consistent with the rest of the material, but that doesn't matter because we're here to entertain you, and that's the idea. This is the same thing, but for kids, right? It's if you remember a show on Nickelodeon back in the day called Space Cases. Anyone knows what that is? It's a really old show back in the day.
I remember I heard about it, but I
Yeah, Jewel
never
State.
saw it actually.
Yeah, Jewel State got a big break on it. It had the Black Power Ranger on it. Basically, it's that. It feels like that. It's just a bunch of a ragtag group of kids. They get lost for some reason or the other, and it's just they bunking off each other and being snacky and quippy because it's Nickelodeon, and snacky and quippiness is apparently impress young, mostly white kids, right? Teenagers and tweens. That's the aesthetic. That's it. It's clearly designed for that crowd, and for the most part, I would be kind of person I would agree like this because in terms of sci-fi, it's still solid stuff. It looks good. The animation is actually quite impressive. I think it's probably it had that same 3D animation and it's not the same technique of style or animation, but it's that same approach that What If does. That it have that 3D look, but it's not as
Okay,
choppy.
okay.
It doesn't feel as choppy as What If. I feel it moves really smooth. It has that great 3D aesthetic to it. And yeah, there are a couple like little really cool animation moments of the camera like swinging while the character jumping through. Like it had a part where the character had to move through the bridge on the new ship, the new protostar ship, and he jumped and the whole camera rotate 180 degrees while he was doing it. I was like, oh, that's actually pretty impressive, like animation wise, and the look at it so the vision and whoever all the direction stuff is like quite impressive in terms of animation perspective. Voice acting quite good. I'm enjoying all of it. Characterization could use a little work, but again, I only watched the first episode, so I know hopefully within the first season they'll make sense of everything and make it work. It's for kids. It's the idea is to introduce a bunch of people to the Trek universe via these characters because none of these characters understand what the Federation is, right? All of them kind of grew up in this prison planet. They don't know freedom. They don't know like these ideas of having self-determination and all the stuff for the promises that the Federation will put in. And the idea is, I think, the idea is to install those values to these characters and have them to show, yeah, the rest of the galaxy have your back, or at least the Federation does. And that's kind of the proxy for what Star Trek does for a lot of kids for this current generation of kids. I think that's the idea, right? Is to teach you these values via these characters for kids who don't know Star Trek, right? And what Star Trek means for a lot of people. And
Okay,
that's it.
okay.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get from it, and in terms of what they want to do, and it works. Can't be mad at any of that. It looks good. As I said, I want to see more. Yeah, I dig in it. I'll follow it. Not bad.
All right, nice, nice, nice. I'll probably wait until it ends, and then you could, if you want to, or if we get around to it, we could actually like give your final opinion on the season.
Yeah, at
And
the
if
end of the
it like
season.
really
Yeah, at the
stands
end of
out,
the
then
season.
I'll give it a look.
Yeah. At the end of the season, we'll get it run through. I'll watch it. I'll probably forget about it until like, oh, the last episode coming out. Okay, and then I'll like binge them because it is bingeable. I'm not bored by it at any point. Like at no point I felt, oh, this is some bullshit, or I kind of find myself on my phone while watching it or nothing like that. Nothing like that. I was. They had me. It had me watching on the screen, and I'd imagine if it have me watching on my screen, and I'm Mr. Super Cynical who could get bored of shit super easy. I can imagine some kid who will who is at least who it's targeted to will enjoy it.
All right, nice, nice, nice. So stick with sci-fi now. Let me just move from animation to live action.
Sure.
Tell me about Apple TV's Invasion thus far.
Oh boy. All right. So again, so 3 episodes apparently of this come out. I decided to just give one a watch.
Or
And
should I tell you like watch all three to give
nah, nothing like
a
that.
round opinion? You know what I mean?
Not at all. All right. So to describe it, it's an envision story. Everything is it starts off with to describe it. Um, it starts off with okay. It's some guy in the middle of the desert, and then a piece of this something crash, and then the guy gets so close to him, and then boom, they're dead. And then it sets up more a town, and the town have a guy who's this sheriff, and the sheriff going through a lot of problems and thinking about the world, and it's just character stuff that not that interesting, and it's setting up a premise, and as I said, way too much mystery box nonsense, way too much mystery box nonsense. It's shockingly unfulfilling, in my opinion. um it's just a sort of longness, and like what are you really doing here? And yeah, I just not feeling this at all. So to basically to start with the premise of it, it's, as I said in the beginning, it starts off with um in the middle of the desert. I'm not sure where exactly. Uh and I don't know, it could be Iran or wherever it is, right? Don't really matter. And basically it then jumps to this small town in the middle of nowhere, and it's him seeing, yeah, it's him seeing what it is they're doing with the world. A bunch of weird shit started happening, right? Bunch of weird stuff started happening, and that's it. It's the middle of this town. I forget. Oh God, I forget the name of the sheriff. But the sheriff is this, um, he's this typical old white guy who had to go through all his problems in his life, and then they follow a couple, and then they follow, sorry, and then they follow in like his black deputy and how they going through with life, and it's just so slow and boring and terrible so far. And
Okay,
it's
it
the only
just
thing,
it kind of sounds like it's about more character driven
right? They right, but
kind of as opposed to
they're
the
trying to do that.
invasion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, they're
Oh,
trying
it
to do that.
tries. Oh,
They're trying to do
okay.
that, but boy, it's going slow. And a lot of it is oh well, the children. It starts off with the children. All right, so a bunch of school children start bleeding from their nose for some reason. So people think it's some kind of attack. They're not sure what's going on, and then a bunch of
Why
a
why
bunch
had
of
to be nosebleeds, man? Like,
yeah,
I
is that
mean,
yeah, it's a
uh,
shorthand, right? Quick shorthand of how
yeah.
dangerous something is, right? Anyway, the main character, first episode, main character, there's something happening in a cornfield, and there's some weirdness, and then when he go into the cornfield, he start digging into the sand because I think he might be hearing a song. Again, it's some real dumb,
Okay,
like
it's some close encounter to
right.
kind of shit. I
And
get it.
then at
Yeah.
the end of the first episode, something really quick happens, and he didn't see what happened, and he just see he apparently gets stabbed in the back of his neck, and then something real shuffled into the sand quick, and then cut to black. And here's the thing, 10 years ago, I'd have tolerated this bullshit. Not
You know what you
now.
mean when loss was a thing, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Not now. You see this mystery box thing? Enough. That foolishness unacceptable nowadays, Jude. Right? It's getting people not feeling it. Again, it's getting some terrible ratings, and for good reason. I just wanted to speak about it on the show just to give that warning. Like, I just telling you now, guys, you don't need to do the mystery box thing, kiddos. You do not need to do the mystery box thing. Them days over. Them days over. Enough. Mystery box is something that you have to really pay off, and that's the problem. A lot of people, to borrow from, I forget the name of the woman, but it's that meme, right? Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for this. Cut that shit out. Tell your story. Episode one, set up a premise. Episode one. If it's setting up a mystery, that's fine, but you have to have a payoff in some way, some narrative payoff in some way, right? Enough. Cut this bullshit out. You do not. Nobody have time for this. This idea of pick TV and oh, I'm gonna watch something and it's all artsy and I'm gonna, I'm clearly gonna sit down with my glass of wine and speak about with my friends. Nope, that bullshit done. We done. Enough. Right? Have way too many better shows that tell its story, had better payoffs immediately from episode one. Like Jesse Shaw was talking about, that had a payoff. Sat down, they set up something, they had to get the ship in and out, you learn enough about them. They have a mystery setup, but you get enough narrative payoff one time. And that's the kids show. This is on Nickelodeon. And it
Mm.
had my attention. The adults, not to be tired of the adults trying to be all mysterious and deep. JJ is the only man who could get away with that bullshit. Enough. And maybe the show we watched the other day, Midnight Mass. Midnight Mass was good. A little too slow, but it was good. This,
And the
no.
payoff was well. I mean, no man. Well,
Right.
I don't want to say the payoff because I'll refer to the finale, right? But I mean, the gist of what it's about was
Right,
intriguing
right. For the
enough,
most
right?
part, right. For the most part, and that because that had way more interesting characters. That actually had you thinking about what is it they're trying to talk about. A lot of it is to do with religion. If you're Catholic, it was like right up medieval Catholic people alley. In that sense, to talk about, oh well, this is what this means and that means, and so on and so forth. Right? It's a Stephen King novel, right? They keep you on your toes. This, no, enough. I watched the first episode and I was like, yeah, way too much mystery box nonsense, and I start to smell the bullshit from episode one, right? So I smell all I'm saying, I watch episode one. I see other people talking about it and not feeling it at all. They didn't spoil anything. I still don't know what's happening yet. I will
Mm.
give it a chance and watch a couple more episodes. But all I'm saying is I'm smelling the bullshit. This is a warning. All right, moving on.
All right, all right. Well, we
Yeah.
have. I see. We have 10 episodes. Well, sorry,
Yeah,
9 more to
that's
look
fine.
forward to. So,
That's
well, I
fine.
mean, we have three already, right? But
Because the other show, which same thing with we call it, that set up its premise one time. The payoff, we call it. The show that get cancelled. Um like Why the Last Man.
yes, yes, yes.
You know, great. It set up our premise. It's kind of a shame it got cancelled, but that's how you're supposed to set up our premise. Episode one. Then you
Yeah,
build your mysteries after. Not this mystery box nonsense from the beginning. That's an immediate red flag because we
yeah. That
too
that
much of
that
that.
that is that's from the perspective that you think you're gonna have more than one season. Like you think we
Yeah,
live in a world where
yeah,
just a premise alone will ensure that you will
yeah.
get more than one season, right?
Yeah, it's
Right.
peak TV. This person still think this is well, the creators of this still think that peak TV going on, and you'll get a green light because your show looking all fancy and looking good. Because production value wise, it looks fine, like it looking okay, like set design, all of that stuff, and the camera work and things. Like okay, it looking good, color correction, the usual, the stuff that making it stuff look like a film, right? Quote
Right,
unquote.
right.
That
Well,
bullshit,
I
right?
look in here now and I seen that, well, actually, the creator and director of it is none other than Simon Kinberg, right?
Right,
Director
right.
of Dark Phoenix.
Yep. Red
Yep.
flag.
Red
Red
flag, right?
flag. Big red flag. No, I mean I don't judge. Like if I hear you doing movies and you turn to the TV, I don't really mind. I don't mind stuff like that. But for the most part, it's what you make of it going forward now. That's why I don't have a problem with that. Movies and TVs is two different things. Like this fella do Prometheus and I hated it, but then turn around and do something brilliant as well now on TV. He does his brilliant TV stuff now. We call him Lindelof now.
Yeah.
Lindelof is doing bullshit, but when you do good stuff, as we ride it to praise it. I still think the Leftovers is probably one of the best shows of the decade. I really like his Watchmen. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't really judge. I don't judge movie to TV stuff, right? It's two
Mm,
different frameworks, right? So
right, right.
when I saw Silent King, because like I know this face, I know this name. I do the little my IMDb checkup, and I'm like, oh, you do Dark Phoenix. But I'm like, well, I'm gonna get a chance. But yeah, that first episode wasn't impressive, man, and I was really not feeling it. Anyway,
Right, right, right. Well, thanks for the warning
that's the
beforehand.
one, and that's why I wanted to talk
Yeah.
about it, not to
Yeah,
talk about the
yeah,
show,
yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah,
That's
maybe they might retool it. Sorry, not retool it, but kind of go back to
well,
the drawing board and fix some stuff. It'll be before
well,
they push out the
yeah, well,
episodes.
no,
Maybe.
they don't film. I look like they don't film all that shit because again, when they get in that vibe of everybody, when they had a mystery box thing, that means it's super confident in what they want. Yeah, whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
And
sorry for this past review, but like, what's that?
no, no, no.
If
It's
I don't
fine. It's
remember
fine.
yeah, if I don't remember them details, that's a bad side, that's a real
Yeah,
red flag. Telling you
that,
now,
that that's fine. Keep it spoiler free, man. Keep it spoiler
right?
free. And just to jump into the movies, you'll kick things off. Well, you'll kick things off, I should say, with Blue Bayou.
Sure.
I know nothing about this. I just saw this show up in the VOD circles, so that's all I know. But
Right.
yeah, what is Blue Bayou about?
Okay, so the reason I got into this is because of the subject matter. Somebody talked about it in something I was listening to, like either a podcast or some NPR or something, right? And I was like, I heard the director's name, Justin Chon, and I was like, hey, that sounded familiar. And he did a movie a few years back called Gook, and I was like,
Huh.
no, the mere
No,
fact
no,
this man
I
did,
heard because I I swear I heard it somewhere. Not the term, of course, the title of the movie, but
right,
yeah, I don't know,
right. So
but it sounds familiar.
back then, the mere fact this man decided to call the whole movie Gook, like wow, that real that real dread dude. That man is like that's like just somebody just outright calling. using the N word for the title of your movie. Like imagine John Peel just say N word, like that's the name of the
Yeah.
movie. Like holy
Fun
shit!
fact: remember when Nas tried that with his
Right,
album,
right, right. Yeah, yeah. I
and they
remember.
were
Right.
like,
Yeah,
"Nope, no,
I
you
was,
can't do that." So
I was thinking of
it's
that. Right.
currently called Untitled, right?
Right, right. Yeah, like the Cosy movie, just you just poured him, and I remember watching it, not loving it. It was like solid, but like okay. But it went on my radar. I was like, all right, this man looking like he's a shock value kind of man. Not really though. Ultimately, I didn't see his second film, but I decided when this came along, I decided to enjoy. I decided to watch this one, and well, the subject matter is what roped me into it, right? Which is the stories about um what you call it? What we dealing with in Trinidad, which is people getting deported and
Oh,
naturalized
okay.
citizenship, and that whole immigration issue. And there's a core immigration issue about people who the adopted parents never naturalize, and it have a lot of loopholes of people who spend their whole life in a country and then they themselves just somehow still facing deportation, even though they spend the majority of their life, like all they know is this country, but yet they're still getting deported for some reason. And a lot of people find out it's kind of bullshit. If you're spending enough like 20 years in a country, I think you should be naturalized to the country, but whatever. Um, that's what it is. That's what the cause is. So the main character, Antonio, he's a tattoo artist living in New Orleans, I think, and he wife, I forget the wife name. She pregnant, she have child. I think she's a nurse, and then she I think has a daughter outside from someone else. Daughter name is Jessie, and because of he had a little bit of a criminal record. Yeah, I forget what it is he did exactly. But he can't get work because of that, right? And he get arrested, um, put into ICE custody. So that is our big red flag, and is you may find out that his parents never naturalized him, right? So now he have to fight for. He had to basically work out what happens if he could get deported more or less, and he can't come back to the states. And that's the story, and that's his whole life. And it's such a like shockingly like here's the thing with this, right? It not similar to Minari or something like that, right? It not pulling at your heartstrings or nothing like that. It's just putting in the space of somebody who struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Not pulling at your heartstrings. Not trying to do that. Not Oscar Beatty bullshit. None like that. You just have to study what it is, what it is to not be naturalized in a country everywhere that you know, and how you're gonna get pulled out of it. So that's how the story just build its premise, and then he figure out he strike up a friendship with somebody, another refugee. I think the refugee suffering from cancer, if I remember correctly. I didn't watch this. I watched this for a hot minute, so I didn't see it like last night or something. So I'm forgetting the details. Sorry about that. And basically he decided he got a tattoo. She she strike up this friendship with this girl, and I guess she's suffering from cancer. They back and forth, and he just kind of don't want to talk to his adoptive mother about it. His father was abusive, so like all of those factors come into where he was adopted. He still have no power of the situation, and then the state coming down on him simply because you get a bad beat when it comes to the police, right? And yeah, the end, he just straight up like at the end of the movie. Well, I kind of don't want to spoil it, but I just kind of what that happens. I go into the emotions, but yeah, at the end, he gets deported, sent back to South Korea where he doesn't know any life. Like he was there since 2000, and he gets separated from and it's just really heartbreaking. They just play it really straight, like what happens to real life, and at the end, they just show all the situations of basically adoptee rights campaigns. That's what it's about. They play it dead straight. Like this is how it is feel. This is what people have to go through. It don't pull at your heartstrings. Them say the music rising and none of that. It don't feel like that, at least to me. It's still good sound design, however it is, but it don't feel like it does. It feels so normal and realistic. That is why it sold me on this, and it real worked, Judd. Like this was real hard for me. Like
Okay,
wow,
okay.
because again because of the realism of it. So I know I only heard about it because of this of our podcast, right? People talking. It's just one of these things that's pop up in my radar. I a big old lefty like me, right? And it pop up in my radar, and I was like, okay, this I want to see what this movie about. Decided to watch it, and I was like, wow, this is real hard, though. And That is why it works, Dread. I thought this was excellent, Dread. This will probably be making my best of the year. Um,
Okay,
it's
okay.
just, it's such a human story, Dread. That is why it works so well. It's very, very grounded, very humanistic. Um, it's not some big sprawling masterpiece or anything like that. It reminds me of Minari a little bit. Like Minari was just slice of life. This is how
Yeah,
life
I remember.
is. But this time, it just plays out in a much darker way than that, right? A little more dramatic than that. That was just straightforward slice of life stuff. And then, one thing happens and leads to the other. And because that movie went to a place that we didn't expect. It was just kind of normal, right? Which I was fine. It's still well made. This does the same thing. And I think this Justin Chon fella have a future. Like this man Rolado. Like it was just so shocking how, again, I keep using this word humanistic. It just how grounded and humanistic the whole thing was. Like, wow, it, I mean, it could have easily been like it feel like one of these filmed documentary things. Like it felt like that at times. Like it just felt, oh, that is what has happened to some people, George. Like that is it, and they leave it, there. I don't want to sell out the more dramatic moments involving the other characters. Have somebody, the character I mentioned earlier, who he met, who he gave a tattoo to. She's a big drama pull moment, because they must have a thing in it to say, um, you must care about this character. And here's the main reason I hyping up Justin Chon. Similar reason I hyping up a boy from Minari is that he's not only the star, it's directed and written by him as well.
Nice,
That's the main thing,
nice.
and that's big sell. I really thought this was fantastic. Rating, I'll probably give it a high 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10
Okay,
maybe.
would.
It was really, really excellent. I really, really, really loved it. Again, the subject matter is the core of it. Like that's the core. That's the story. So that's what brought me in. I was expecting that, and that's what happens. Because I think the movie was more or less spoiled from any podcast, but I didn't even hear about the movie before, so it's not like I was hearing about it. It's just one of these things that was just on the radar, and I probably wouldn't have watched it otherwise. And it's only when this show mentioned it, I was like, okay, I'll give it. And the person like mentioned it offhand. I forget which podcast it was. I think 99% Invisible or something like that. One of those, right? And that was it, Judd. I was like, wait, Judd, this was like shocking, way better than I expected to. Yeah. It was shot in New Orleans. No surprise there, because there's gas at tax exemptions. Uh, and yeah, from what I understand, it was made a while now. In terms of its final thing. And yeah, it was excellent. Let's play a human story. He went through the foster care system. He had all this psychological trauma. He had all this. There's a quite higher suicide rate for a lot of these types of people. The idea of adopted kids who not getting the best care that they should get, and this whole paradigm of in and out of life that's not working out for them. And yeah, they make it work. It's just this film of, for lack of a better term, human detritus, playing through our system and getting sent back to a country that they don't know. Like that is like had to be the most nightmarish thing, right? And a massive source of poverty or whatever it is for a lot of people. Yeah. Yeah, 8 out of 10, really, really well done. Doesn't pull at your heartstrings from a film, music, contrivance perspective. Just the
From an
sheer
Oscar beat perspective.
Oscar, yeah, just the sheer
Yeah.
reality of it is what is better, in my opinion, at least for me. Yeah, 8 out of 10, closer to a 9, to be honest. But yeah, 8 out of 10, really, really good. Rated.
All right, nice, nice, nice. Well, thank you for the recommendation. I'm gonna make the effort to check this movie out myself, and for all we know, hopefully it may make it to my top list for the year, right?